Welcome to Weekend Project with StonZ56. I think many of you might just like me that you have Raspberry Pi 4 on the hand, but you probably don't have all the accessory you need just yet. So you neither can connect to your keyboard nor your monitor. How do you set up your Raspberry Pi? So let's set it up together. Let's go to Raspberry Pi's website first and click the software. And then scroll down the page. Depends on what kind of operating system you are using. I'm using Windows today, so I'm going to download for Windows. After you download the program, just execute it. After installation, run the Pi Imager program. I'm using the version 1.6.2. First, click Select OS, and then click on Raspberry Pi OS 32-bit. And then click on Choose Storage. Look at the screen below. I have a Raspberry Pi 8GB ready here. Also, a SD card reader and inserted an 8GB SD card in it. So let's write the OS image into the SD card. Click on Write, and you'll be asked if you want to continue. Just click Yes. The OS image written process takes few minutes, and after the file is written, you will examine the SD card again. After a few minutes, the disk process is completed, and you will be asked to remove the SD card from your computer. Before we remove the SD card, let's examine the SD card content. From the file manager, you will see a drive named boot. Let's click to see its content. You will be able to see all the files inside the SD card. We are going to create two files. First, right-click the mouse and click on the Add New File. Select the file type Text. And then rename the file as SSH. Be aware that you do not need the file extension. If you cannot see the file extension, go to File Manager and click on View, and make sure the Show File Extension is ticked. Remember to save the file as SSH without the .txt. Let's add another file. Right-click your mouse and add a text file. Now, this time I'm gonna name this file WPA_SUPPLICANT.conf. Open the file in a text editor, and then copy and paste this piece of text as shown on the monitor. What we need to do is put your SSID and your Wi-Fi password into these double quotes, and then just save the file, and you are ready to go. Okay, let's insert the SD card we just copied into Raspberry Pi 4. Plug in the USB to supply the power. Ensure the power supply you use has at least 15 watts. The green light is turned on. Let's wait for a bit for it to turn on. While the computer is booting up, let's look at the document to see how to use SSH. In order to SSH into a Raspberry Pi, we need an SSH client. If you are using Windows 10, go to the left corner and click on the Windows icon. And then right-click and select Programs. On the very top, click on Programs and Features. And then click on the Optional Features. Then click on Add New Feature. And then in the search bar, type SSH. You will see Open SSH Client. What we need is SSH Client, so just make a tick and click Install. Okay, we have an Open SSH installed. Just close the window. After that, click on the Windows command bar and click on the magnifier. Then type CMD, and you'll see the command prompt is opened in a new window. Then we are going to access Raspberry Pi with the SSH program we just installed. Just type SSH, then Pi. Pi is the default username for Raspberry Pi. And the Raspberry Pi's address is raspberrypi.local. The first time you log in, you'll be asked this question. Just type yes. And then enter your password. And the default password is ISPBERRY. Alright, we log into the system. If we cannot log in, please check the file that we saved on the SD card to make sure your Wi-Fi SSD and Wi-Fi password are correct. Pay attention to uppercase or lowercase of the letters you typed. Also, the computer you use to access Raspberry Pi must be under the same network as your Raspberry Pi computer, or you will not be able to access your Raspberry Pi. If you have tried everything I mentioned but still cannot log in, please redo the whole process again. The next step is to install VNC Server. It's a remote desktop application. On the command prompt, just type sudo raspi-config. And you will see the Raspberry Pi software configuration tool. Just use the up-down arrow key to move the cursor. Let's go to interface option number 3. Hit enter, and then just scroll down to P3 VNC and hit enter, and you'll be asked, would you like the VNC server to be enabled? Just select yes. After a few minutes, your VNC server is installed. Navigate the menu with your arrow key and then select finish to exit the program. Okay, this completes the VNC server installation process. Now let's go to download and install VNC Viewer. The purpose of this software is allow you to remotely access to your Raspberry Pi to control its desktop. Let's visit RealVNC website and click on download. After download is completed, just go to your download folder in your file manager and double click to install the program. You'll be asked what language would you like to use. Just select English. Click Next. Click on Accept and then click on Next and click on Next one more time. And then click on Install to start. Click on Windows Start and you should see VNC Viewer is on the very top. Click on the menu and then select File, New Connection. In the VNC Server text box, just type raspberrypi.local. And in the name field, just type Pi4 as the connection name. Then click OK to complete. Then you will see a Pi4 icon on the screen. Just double click to launch. After that, you should see a small window will pop up, ask you for username and password. The default username is Pi and the default password is Raspberry. And you should see the desktop. Oh, something went wrong. Cannot currently show the desktop. It's mostly the display resolution issues. Let's see how to fix it. Start the command prompt and type sudo raspi-config. Then in the menu, select number 2, display options. To change the display resolution, enter. You will see D1 resolution. Just hit enter. You will see a list of resolutions showing on the display. You can select either 1920 by 1080 or 1280 by 720. In this tutorial, let's select 1280 by 720. Then click OK. And remember to select Finish to exit the program. You may also use the Tab key to navigate. Then you will need to restart your Raspberry Pi. Click Yes to reboot. The terminal will be disconnected from your Raspberry Pi and restart itself. After Pi restarted, you can use SSH login. Just type the password RASPBERRY. Okay, you can see we successfully logged into the Raspberry Pi. Let's minimize the terminal. You will see Raspberry Pi desktop is already on your display. You will see a warning saying SSH is enabled, but default password for Pi user has not changed. Here's my IP address. Let's click Next. Let's set the country first. I'm here in Taiwan, so I'm going to select Taiwan. The next is the language. Select your language. I'm using the Chinese here. And then select time zone. Without setting the time zone, your time will display incorrectly. Then click on Next. Let's wait for a few minutes. And then it's time to change the password. Enter the new password on the top and confirm your new password on the button. Without changing the password, everybody's Raspberry Pi has the same username and default password. It's quite risky that way. Then you will be asked, does your display has a black border or not? If not, just click Next. Next, it will start to search for your Wi-Fi network. Actually, we already connected to the Wi-Fi network. Just select my Wi-Fi again anyway. Then, Raspberry Pi will start to check if you need to update your software. This will take a few minutes. And then Raspberry Pi will start to update. Checking the software version. After that, the setup is complete. Then you will be asked to reboot your Pi again. Click Reboot to restart your Raspberry Pi. After it restarts, open your VNC Viewer and click Pi 4 to connect to Raspberry Pi. With a second, you should see Raspberry Pi desktop, and you can see the time zone on the top right is now displayed correctly. And we have completed this tutorial. If you like this video, please subscribe, click like, and share to your friends. I will see you next time.